In tough economic times like these, everyone's concerned about the state of their wallet. But for Gen Z, those born between 1997 and 2007, more than half are extremely worried about not having enough bucks in a pinch. For more on Gen Z and their finances, Marcie Merriman, Ernst & Young America's Cultural Insights and Customer Strategy Leader, is here. Thank you for joining us today. I found some stats in here pretty interesting, but just give us your big picture overview of Gen Z and the concern over their finances.
Yeah, well, what we're seeing with them is something radically different than what we've seen with past generations at a similar age. And that's important to look at because everyone's feeling different things around finances and money right now. And certainly life stages come into it. But what we look at is Gen Z as the 16 to 26-year-olds today. And in comparison to where millennials were, Gen X were at a similar age. We're seeing a generation with very different attitudes toward money, towards work, towards consumerism, and towards the world in general.
And Marcie, I want to ask you a question, though, especially when you consider, because by some calculations, Gen Z goes even younger, right? So to 2012. So it's interesting to me that they would be concerned about their finances. One positive spin on it could be that the fact that they're even thinking about it as a teenager. So talk to us about how they're viewing the job market for those, especially in the older band of Gen Z.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, the fact that we see teenagers worried about these things, worried about money. I mean, in our research, 36% of the 16 to 26-year-olds we looked at were worried that they weren't saving enough for retirement. So they're thinking about very different things than past generations. And we're seeing that translate as they look into work and they look into what they want. We're seeing a much more pragmatic view. You know, they're thinking about the jobs that they go into. One, what kind of security and safety do they have? They're more interested in understanding the benefits that come with it, what's behind the actual dollars that they see. Another trend that we're seeing that I think is super interesting and we hear a lot about, but I don't think we hear much behind it, is around the multiple streams of income or having multiple jobs. And for them, this is part of hedging their bets.
Well, so let's dig into that a little bit. What kinds of, how deep into the weeds can we go here? How many gigs? And what are the views that are shaping them? Is it just that the American dream, quote unquote, is dead? It's all about the hustle now?
Well, we're seeing in our research, again, 39% of the 16 to 26-year-olds in the U.S. have both a job, whether it's full-time or part-time, and what they consider a side hustle or something that allows them to make additional money. And I really do think this is the new norm. We're seeing it in other generations as well, in older groups. The difference is for Gen Z, this has just been their norm for life. And some of the reasons why, one of the reasons why is that they've always had the ability to make money at a much younger age than older generations did. And they don't have to wait till they're 16 to have their work permit to work in a fast food store or a fast food restaurant like I did. You know, they're able to look at selling things online through social media, rather than making and giving away friendship bracelets or selling the friendship bracelets. And we're seeing this translate as they look later in life, looking at every aspect of their life as a way that they can potentially make money off of it. And I do think that there's positive that comes out of this as they think about security, as they think about the implications of what they spend their money on, whether it's college or, you know, a new shirt for the weekend. They're thinking differently about these things, and there's huge implications for organizations, of course, across the board.
It's the TikTok generation. I like that. One of the things I did notice that stood out to me is just the level of anxiety for Gen Z. It seems to be higher than previous generations. And I wonder if your research showed, does it have to do with them living through both the Great Recession followed later by the pandemic? Is that one of the things that came out?
I mean, that certainly contributed to it. We saw this highlighted or heightened anxiety and stress and concerns about their own stress before the pandemic began. And just like the rest of society, we've seen that accelerate. We've seen it become stronger. But what we also have to think about is this is a group that, one, has lived their life on social media, and that's contributed to how they think about the world and the stress that comes with it. But they've also been hit by the pandemic during a period of time where you're traditionally professionally, gaining your independence, where you're, moving out on your own. And that's made it more difficult for them to move into those life stages. And I think that's contributed to the mental health issues as well. But one of the things that we see from them is that they're not being addressed to the degree that they need to. And this is something that they're looking to employers. It's the first time I've seen participants in any survey say they actually want mental health training from organizations, from employers. That's something they value, along with financial training. They're looking for completely different benefits and assets to help them get through life in the way that they feel they need to.